welcome to GenFriends. I'm your host, Cheri Hudson Passey from Carolina Girl Genealogy. I've got a fabulous panel, as always, and a special guest. So let's get started with introductions. We've got Melissa Barker, the archive lady. Hi, Melissa. How are you?
I'm good, Cheri. Glad to be here.
It's going to be one of those nights I can't speak. We've got Dan Earl, our family history guy. Hi, Dan.
Hello, everyone.
We've got, who do we have at the bottom? This is not going to be a good night. This is Laura Hedgecock from Treasure Chest of Memories.
I'm glad you recognized me.
Oh, it's just going to be what has been one of those days. But the exciting thing is we've got a special guest. We have got Carly Morgan, and Carly, her business is Family Tree Notebooks. And she's going to tell us all about it. I've flipped through the webpage and looked through some of your product, and it's wonderful. So will you tell us about it?
Thank you. Yeah. So Family Tree Notebooks is a website where I sell digital genealogy worksheets, and people can use them to put books together for their ancestors. Some people just use the individual pages and put, files together, or they add them into their own filing system. But most people actually build books by following this index that's pre-numbered, and you make pages about each ancestor, and then you put that ancestor's number on the page, and then over time it just grows and grows and grows until you have a book that represents a certain line or a certain family tree. And because it's page by page, it's not as overwhelming for people, because if you just do one page at a time, you're still accomplishing something. And there are a ton of pages now that I've created. I've done more than 1,000 different genealogy pages. And so there's a page for everything. So that's the nice thing, is that if you have a photo that is a mystery photo that, you don't know exactly where it came from, or I got this list of 8mm films that I digitized, but I don't know what they are. Things like that are sort of that genealogy in progress that a lot of us get stuck with, where it's just kind of floating around. There's still pages to capture the work that you're doing in progress before you finalize and say, okay, yes, this is a marriage record, this is a vacation record, this is a picture of the family homestead. And so it just gives people a way to not only keep their research organized, but to always feel like they're getting something done, and that they're not just planning on someday getting it all together.
That's someday. Now, I know that you've got some free things on your website to get people started.
Yeah, I have an email list, and if you join the email list, you get 3 free pages. And I'm trying to think, it's the ancestor profile page, I think the first page of the index, which covers the first 25 ancestors. And then I can't remember if it's the death records page or the marriage records page, because I changed it a little while ago. But those 3 pages give you a way to download the pages and see if you like using digital pages, because some people need to print them out and then fill them out by hand. But I always encourage people to try to branch out and see if they can add photos and text before they print it out, because if you can do that, it is easier to build pages that look the same and everything like that. And I have a lot of people I have a Facebook community of people who are using the system, and I have a lot of people who just use those 3 pages and actually just sort of make a skeleton book, and then they stick their own, letter-sized paper in there. And they make wonderful books. And so that's fine with me, as long as they're getting it done.
Yeah, really. Well, how did you come up with this idea?
Well, so I've been interested in genealogy for maybe a little bit more than a decade, but I could never figure out how to get organized. And I'm one of those people that gets an idea and then I throw money at it, because if I throw enough money at it, things will go well. So I kept going to the Container Store, and I would just buy all these boxes or bins or hanging folders. And I was like, okay, this is going to be the thing. And it was never the thing. And my family history was just sort of stuck on Ancestry.com and on Family Search and in random folders in my computer. And I couldn't get a handle on not only everything that I had worked on, but I couldn't really get a handle on the story. And I was putting together actual notebooks, like spiral bound notebooks,
Yeah.
with my notes for everybody. And I was making each person a different page where I'd scribble, marriage at the top, and then I'd write down all the evidence I had and things like that in an attempt to keep that straight. But I have, but my biological parents are divorced and remarried. And then I also have my husband's parents, and I followed those 6 family trees. So I had tons of notebooks. And I finally just started making digital pages because I needed to keep it on my computer. And then I fell in love with that and was doing that for about a year. And I think I might have actually been at Roots Tech carrying around one of my my family histories, and somebody asked about it. And I said, yeah, this is the way that I do it. I'm actually sort of thinking about throwing them up on Etsy just in case anybody was ever interested. And she was like, oh, you should email me if you do, because I would love to buy them. And that was 3 years ago. And I passed the 1 million page sale mark last summer. So I've sold a lot of
Wow.
pages.
That is fabulous. I also saw that there was a link for different colors. So you've got different color choices so people could print out to see which colors they want to choose for their books. That's a great idea.
Yeah,
Cheri,
it's evolved over time.
Cheri, can we have her share pages and let her show us,
Yeah,
share
if you would like.
screens and have her show some examples for people?
Yeah.
Sure, absolutely.
Being like, yes, I should have that ready.
That's
You
okay. That's
don't.
okay. Is
Well,
anybody
I have your website.
Okay.
Laura will
so-
sing a song while you pull it up.
Right.
Earl will sing a song.
Yeah. Okay.
All
You
right.
can see my screen okay?
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Okay, so this is the website, and you can see here's some examples of the purple pages.
I like that.
Yeah, I
Not
just
just your hair in that photo.
Yeah, and there's the purple hair, purple photo. I just released a kids course, so these are different looks, but the rest of the pages all have this consistent look, but I changed the colors, and now there's 24 colors that you can choose from, and there's actually a color guide that you can download somewhere. It's my website, but I don't ever download the color guide. It's on here somewhere, but and that way you can print it out at home, so you can actually see what the colors look like coming out of your printer.
Yeah.
And if you go up here so if you go to shop, it's just going to take you to, okay, oh, here's the color guide, so you can see all the different colors. So these are all the colors that it comes in.
Very nice.
I have a free guidebook. I think it's 25 pages. And then you can just go down and you can shop these bundles that I have that are 200 pages, or you can shop the single pages. The single pages are great because then you only shop for what you need, but it's a little overwhelming because I've made so many. But if you go to this genealogy pages link, it'll take you to the big list of genealogy pages. And then I have it divided in sections. So if you were looking for a page to save death information, then you can click on that and it will take you straight to all of these different pages.
Oh, wow.
And let's say you have a cemetery map that you wanted to add to somebody's chapter, then you can come in and you can see a sample image of the map. And when you buy these individual pages, you get them in all 24 colors, and you get left-hand and right-hand side.
Oh.
So you can make double-sided pages if you want to. When you buy the deluxe bundles, you only get one color at a time, but every time you buy the single pages, you get all of the colors, because a lot of people use the colors to organize generations, or they use different colors for different books. And the whole idea is that because they're digital, once you buy the page from me once, you don't need to keep coming back and read, you don't need to pay me every single time.
Right. You've already got the download. Yeah. That is, what a cool idea. I really like this idea. It's like, in the old days, we would take all of our stuff and stick it in a binder. And so this is, this is just an easier way to create that binder, because we know we're not supposed to have our originals like that in a binder where they're going to get ruined, right? But we want people to see them. We want to have something out so that our family can look through the book and maybe get interested in the family story. Yeah, so this is a fabulous way to have a book out. They can see the document because it's a digital copy of that document, and then you've printed it out. So what a wonderful idea.
Yeah, and for people who are really hesitant to use digital pages and to put things together in that way, there's lots of nice things about using pages digitally. One is that I have my files on my computer match the files that I've got printed out in these books. So I have folders that are numbered with the same number, and I save the pages into those folders along with all of the, different documents and things like that. So I always have a copy on my computer. I've got a copy in the cloud, and I have a printed copy, so I'm not going to lose my work. And it makes it really easy to share with family, because if somebody wants a PDF of the whole book, or if they want a PDF just of one ancestor's files, it's ready to go. And the pages are designed to be simple enough that you don't have to be interested in family history to know what you're looking at.
Yes.
Because that was the other problem, is that I would try to get people interested in the family stories, and as soon as they saw a citation, they would just,
Exactly. Laura, you've got a question.
Yeah, what format are these in? Well, I guess what software do people use to add their information, and what format is it in to put into a book? That's what I'm fuzzy about.
So the pages themselves are PDF files. They're just standard PDF, and they're letter sized. So I have a lot of international customers, Australia, England, who want me to make them A4, a little bit larger. And I always tell them that they should use I have a low ink set that doesn't have that color strip on the side, and that's the one they use. So you can't see that it's shorter, but for the rest of us, the pages are designed to be letter size. Personally, I use GoodNotes, which I use on my iMac and on my iPad. It's an Apple product, and I can actually make digital notebooks, and I can use my pen. GoodNotes is the easiest as long as you have an Apple product. People who don't have Apple, I have a tutorial for how to use Adobe Acrobat. Adobe is great because it has a lot of bells and whistles, and I make the pages using Adobe software. So the font on them is an Adobe font. And so that's all very compatible. The downside to Adobe is that there's a monthly subscription fee unless you're affiliated with, unless your job pays for your Adobe subscription, basically. Other people,
you just have one anyway, like some of us.
You just have it, yeah. Other people use Foxit Reader because it's free. There's some other PDF
so it just
editors.
comes in then as a background, and then whatever software they're using, it would be layered on top of your page.
Yeah, most of the time. I mean, if you're actually using Adobe, because it's an Adobe PDF, you can edit it some. And so I sell the different colors, and yet if you, depending on how techy you were, you could buy a set and then change the colors for yourself and make your own shades and things like that. Which, again, if people want to get creative, it's only when people buy them from me and then immediately turn around and open a shop and resell them that I'm like, don't do that.
Please don't do that.
Yeah, but other than that, the new kids course comes with.
I was going to say, tell us about the kids course.
Well, it's the same idea, but I sold it as a course where you get the pages with the course, because I wanted to be able to actually talk to the kids and explain to them what they were doing. And it's 30 videos. There's 10 videos on making pages about your family tree. There's 10 videos on making pages about yourself, like autobiography type things. And then there's 10 pages for next steps for slightly older children. Those pages are PDFs, and they're also going to get a Canva template of the same page, because on Canva, it's really easy to just drag and drop photos and text and things like that. And I didn't want any kids to feel like they couldn't do this because they weren't familiar with, Adobe products and things. I haven't made a Canva version for adults yet, because I think the tech hurdle is lower than people think it is to figure out how to add text and photos to a PDF. But the Canva for adults might be down the line. Every now and then I'll get somebody who gets really frustrated because they just can't with the Adobe. So that might be next year's project.
And then, so then they decide themselves when they have enough that it's a book that they want to put. And then there's different, do they just use the PDF format, or are there different export? I guess there's different depending on what product they're using, right?
Right. And so if you're using like Adobe, then you're just saving it a page at a time and you're putting it, somewhere in your computer, and then you're putting that together. GoodNotes, you can actually build notebooks in the program and string things together. And some people just do the individual PDFs, and then depending on where they're getting their books printed, they're sending, or they're using a layout. If they're using Blurb or something like that, and they're using their software. I use disc-bound notebooks that I've got one right here that look like this.
Oh, nice.
This
Oh,
is
okay.
the sample for the kids one, but actually I think I've got some grown up. Yeah, you can see some of the other samples in the back, but these, because they're disc bound, I just have a hole punch and I can just pop these in and out. And that's how I do my notebooks. So a lot of people, because I show those in the samples and in the videos that I've done, a lot of people I've converted to.
Is that way you can change
form of
things
writing.
around if you find something, in the meantime, instead of having this product that's put together and you're stuck with it, when you find something new, you can add to it. I like that.
Yeah. Or if you find a new record or you find an error or something, it's really easy to just take that page out and print out a new page.
I like that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I like it so visual, and I really do think that it will help people, because I tell you, I've got the old notebooks, and people, sometimes they'll look at it, but I could see somebody picking up this because the colors are bright, and it just looks more friendly. It looks easier. Melissa, you've got a question?
Yeah, if people are taking these and they're actually publishing them, do you require them to put anything in their published work that the design is copyrighted by you or under your license or anything?
It depends. I don't have anybody who's published it and it's become like an Amazon bestseller. I have a couple of people who have published it, through their societies. And I'll say, if you have an introduction or something, it'd be nice if you said, pages were supplied. But honestly, once somebody purchases them, as long as they're not sharing the blank pages in any way, as long as they're not reselling them, or, I have gotten the people who buy a bundle and then they send it to everybody that they go to church with because they think, well, I bought it, so I'm going to share it. But because it's a digital product, it's kind of like, well, it's not kind of, it's not a good thing.
It's such a good thing.
Violation.
You may have said this, but if someone just isn't into the digital, can they pay you to print them and send them to them?
No, and I do have a lot of people who have asked that, especially older people. There's two
Older
problems
people.
with that. Older people who are beyond Zoom, older people. There's two problems with that. One is that I don't want to and would not have the wherewithal to stay on top of that. The other thing is that I don't know if you guys ever were into scrapbooking or things like that, where every time you made a scrapbook page, you had to go to the store and buy new cardstock because you were using it for your supplies. The pages, like the books that I have 1,000 pages in them, broken up into different volumes because I've been working on this now for years. That's so much money if somebody's paying me page for page. Instead of just buying a $2 digital page, you get all of the colors and then you use it and reuse it. And I will tell people, I'm like, I will hold your hand through buying a color printer, through getting into Adobe. I can help you with all of that, but you do not want to send me $2 every time you want to work on a genealogy page. That's not a good idea.
I guarantee you there's people out there that would do that, but I can understand why you would not want to do that.
Well, I would feel terrible because on some level, I wanted genealogy to be, the other thing about this is that I made the pages so that you don't have to, have taken tons of institute courses in order to be able to use the system. You have to be able to say, what's this person's name? What's his birth date? Where was this person born? Where's this record from? But beyond that, you don't have to understand the ins and outs because there's such a wall sometimes around genealogy. If you don't have the right family, if you don't have enough money, if you don't have all of the records, and that stinks. And so this is one of the cheapest ways that I've seen to be able to put together a comprehensive system that you own, that you don't have to keep paying into,
And you can make these books your own too, because you talked about, families come in different forms, they do. Families are different. And so, back in the olden days, if you did get some printed out forms, it was only one way. And how do you make this work if your family isn't quite doesn't fit that form. And so I like that you can take this and create it in the way that fits your family.
Right. Yeah. There's lots of pages for adoption. There's pages for foster parenting. There's pages for including people who aren't blood related, but who are part of your family. Lots of flexibility, even with the structure of the family tree for people who have step parents, for people who have birth parents or DNA donors and things like that. Because I think we're just going to see more and more of that 1 or 2 generations down.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So what's the thickest book you've made so far? How many pages?
I think my biggest one is 1,200 pages because it's 3 volumes.
Oh, wow.
But that's a long family tree. So the index is set up so it only goes to your 4th great grandparents.
Oh,
and it's
okay.
because people are always like, well, then I can't use your system because I've traced myself back to Adam and Eve, which is a different conversation, but
that's a different program. Yeah.
Different thing. But when I've done that, once I get to that point, if I have a line that I want to keep following, I start a new book with one of those 4th great grandparents as, you know, the root person, the person that starts that. And then I branch out from there. So I have a string of books that all belong to one family, but the thickest from one root person up through 4th great grandparents is 1,200 pages.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing. That is amazing.
It's really fun.
Yeah. And a great way to get your kids and anybody else interested, because it's like a storybook with all those colors, you know, it's the story of your family, and it's more interesting to look at than just like a binder full of documents.
Yeah.
That I think we all started with, or file drawers, you know, with just documents. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm trying to think. I've got well, I probably shouldn't share that gallery. I was going to say I've got a private gallery, but it's got, it has information about living people that I probably shouldn't share, but I will, let's see, let me pull this out. Let me share my screen again. Sure. So this is my Instagram account, which I know Cheri, you follow me because you're always sweet about liking all my posts.
That's because I do like your posts.
I have a lot of these types of pages where you can add photos into the boxes or text. That's another way of making, like, this is just to organize research, but it makes it more visual. And then I have a lot of like here's a photo family tree where I took a group photo, but then I broke it down and identified each of the people.
That's a good idea.
I think some of these things, it's not like you couldn't just look at a group photo, but I feel like just shifting the way that you're looking at things. And, you know, once you're really breaking down, trying to figure out, okay, well, wait, which of these children is Apollonia? Then all of a sudden you realize, wait a second, Harriet's missing. Why is Harriet not in the photo?
Yeah,
this would be, you know, that particular piece right there, because I'm an archivist. And so one of the things that we have that's a challenge is that we have group photos. And we have the challenge of metadata and trying to identify everyone in the photograph, even if they're all identified, but doing it in such a way that it can be indexed or it can be digitized and on our website so that people can find it. And I can see where you could take something like that and have the group photo, and then either the next page or down below it or something, then you could take each individual person and put them in their own little box. That would be fantastic, actually.
Yeah, I don't know if I've got a sample of that. I have a photo study. I have a photo page that looks like that, but I can't remember. This is sort of a confession, but I schedule my Instagram. So I schedule about 200 posts at once, and then I just let it run in the background. So I'm showing up to my Instagram account and I'm like, oh, look at this. I didn't know that was
I like that.
That's a bad blogger trick. But I got into the habit of, I would forget to post my own stuff and I just get on Instagram and scroll through everybody else's. So.
Right.
You know, I can see where this would attract either new genealogists or those within the genealogy family that aren't really into genealogy, because it is not just a plain old piece of paper, or it's not just an old-fashioned family tree or something. You know, it's got graphics on it, it's got, you know, art on it, it's got things like that. So I think that would be interesting to the entire family.
I do too. Yes, Dan.
So this seems like a really, really cool system and something that could be like easily pull people down the rabbit hole. So do you offer like spousal support groups and things like that on your website for those that want to maintain a marriage?
DoorDash $10 cards, like this is like you can throw fries at. Yeah, no, it's a little addictive. I mean, I do have some people. I love my biggest shoppers. I've got some people who have bought almost everything I've ever put out, which I made more than 1,000 pages. I have a couple people where they'll make a purchase, then I'll email them and I'll just be like, hey, just checking in. It's not a Pokemon situation. Like you might have enough pages to make a really cool book. So don't feel like you need to collect them all. Some people just really like all of the pages.
So this, I'm just looking on here, you have language ones. I see you have deluxe genealogy pages in Polish, for instance.
Yeah.
And then the labels are, I don't know if you'd call it labels, but it's in Polish. So
they're in Polish. Mm-hmm.
That is really cool. I can see where that.
Oh, that was a giant
check
mistake.
and see if there's Hungarian.
No, there's not. So here's what happened with that. So I'm half Polish and half Chinese, and I don't speak Polish because I come from two incredibly difficult languages and I speak neither of them. But I had a woman from Poland who contacted me the first year my business was going. She was really excited that she wanted the pages in Polish. She offered to do the translation for free if I would give her a set of the Polish pages when I was finished. And in my head, I was like, I am Amazon International. I am reaching the world. I am going to, of course, I would love to do this. It took me, I want to say 2.5 months to translate 200 pages into Polish, which is the world's hardest language, and get them. And I made them in all the colors, all 24 colors, every single page, left hand and right hand. I sent her free pages. I have not sold a single Polish bundle, not one. Now people are like, well, where's the Spanish? Where's the German? Where's the French? All of which would have made more sense. Exactly. She was also my only Polish customer. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. And you're just going to have to speak English, which is terrible, but I'll get to it eventually. But yeah, that was a really bad idea.
Well, everybody watching, let your Polish friends know that they're
yes,
that's exactly.
I know. I need to be like advertising or something.
Yes.
But this is the problem, is that nobody knows. Why would I have Polish pages? That's really weird.
Right, but there's like a national Polish genealogical society. You could at least let them know.
I know. I really should, because it's been 2 years now and they just sit there. Nobody's bought one.
That's so funny. I was getting ready to ask you, well, how many languages have you?
I'm sorry, I brought it up.
Leave it up to Laura.
That is.
So what is your most, what you would consider maybe your most unusual page? Like, do you have something like on food or, hobbies, something?
No, I've got all sorts of weird pages because people ask for stuff and I'm like, all right, that's a weird page. But I don't have anything that jumps out. I mean, I've got a couple pages that, people ask for, like the 1950 New York census. And then it turns out that only that one person needed that page. I have a lot of those kinds of pages. And then there's some things where it's so specific, where it's, party and then birthday and then first birthday and then ice cream party first birthday. And after a while, I stopped taking really specific requests.
So you will.
She does have for instance, missing in action under the military.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I've used that one in my own books. So
yeah. I would need one of those too. Yeah.
$2, Cheri. That's all it costs.
So where do people go to find out if their like great grandmother had an ice cream first birthday? Like, that's what I want to know. Because that seems remarkably detailed. Like somebody's great grandma kept a really good journal. Like that was.
Or it was in the newspaper. It was in the newspaper. I've got a
newspaper. There you go.
I've got one of those. I call them gossip columns, or those little community columns, or
where
my mother-in-law, when she turned 13, I think. And it was all in the gossip column about her birthday party and who was there. It listed everybody who was there and what she wore.
Yeah, but we don't have to wait till people are dead to celebrate their first ice cream birthday. You can do it for
Right.
a living person or even a child
The living
who
one.
might
I do have-
actually be apt to have an ice cream birthday party.
No, there's a social media page that I always tell people you should be taking screenshots of your Facebook activity and your Instagram, because that's what everybody's sharing their kids' birthday parties on Facebook now. You got to take screenshots and then stick it on the social media page and then print it
Oh, there
out.
you
'Cause otherwise
go.
you're just
Yeah.
gonna lose it.
Yeah, that's a great idea. That's a
Yeah.
really good idea. Isn't that interesting that you've got a social media? I mean, the world is just so different, so different nowadays to have a social media page, but you've thought of everything. And like you said, so you do take requests,
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
depending on what the request is.
Well, I have so in my Facebook group, which I don't know, there's like 8,000 of us or something in the Facebook group. So it's not giant, but I have a running list that people can comment and ask for pages. And then as I make the page, I'll update it. No way that I want to talk to whoever that is. So,
It's okay.
I don't do that again. Sorry. As I make the page, and I'll leave that up for a week, and then I'll delete their request
Okay.
and everything like that. But there's just things that I don't think about. There were a lot of religious pages that I didn't have from faiths that I'm not part of.
Yeah.
I had a couple of people who needed gender confirmation because they had people in their family who were transgender. That wasn't something I had in my family tree, so I hadn't thought about it. But of course, that really affects the records that you're going to find for a person if
Sure.
they are one gender and then they're a different gender.
Right.
So things like that, it's nice that, yeah, it's a service to take requests, but it's very educational because these are things I would never think about.
It sounds wonderful. Well, we will make sure we add the link to your website. We will put the link to your Facebook group. Anything else that you want us to put for people to link to, just make sure I get it, and we will put it in the show notes.
I do have courses. I don't talk about them very
often.
often.
Well, okay, you tell us.
But I do have courses. So I've got the new kids course, which doesn't start until June, but I have a beginner level and an intermediate level course. And that was for people who just needed a little help getting started. So the beginner level course talks about the pages and how to use them, but it also talks about just how to get your stuff out of boxes, how to photograph bulky items, how to scan things. And it gives a primer on, finding female ancestors, finding tax records and things like that. And then the intermediate course is just a little bit bumped up, just a little bit of a deeper look. And I have links to those courses on the website, and you can either get them. The beginner and intermediate courses are 10 lessons, and each lesson has 3 videos, and each video is about an hour long. So it's kind of a heavy course, but you can also get it lesson by lesson. So if you only wanted the lesson on getting stuff out of boxes, you can do that.
Okay.
And I just don't, it's another thing, I don't publicize it, but it's been really popular and people really enjoy that extra bit of hand holding sometimes. So that's another thing.
Okay, well, we'll make sure all that gets out there too. Is there anything, does anybody else have a question or Carly, is there something that we haven't mentioned that you want to make sure is mentioned?
No,
I think it's a great product.
I do too.
Anything that we can do in the genealogy world to make it easier or to make it more fun or to attract maybe even the younger crowd. I think it's fantastic because, I just think it's great.
Yeah, I agree. I can see this becoming a family project, and bringing those kids right along with you as you do it. So, because it's so creative.
My kids, that's the thing. This is my youngest. You probably recognize him, Cheri.
Yeah.
And then this is like his grandparents. So I actually had him, he's 5, but I had him do the dragging and dropping to make his little family tree. And he was so excited about it.
Yeah,
it's
so
just
when he has
like-
that project at school, he'll come with that. The rest of the kids will
Right.
have this handmade tree, and he's going to come with this.
He's gonna come with my 1,200 page book.
There you go.
Like, all right,
I'm
ready.
done. This is my tree. Oh, this has been so much fun. Thank you for coming and talking to us
No,
about
thank you
family
for
tree
having me.
notebooks. Yeah. This is, I think it's just another fabulous way to help people get their family history going and keep them going and get people interested and then be able to share that with other people, so it's just been really fun. And so I encourage everybody to check out the links that we're going to have, not only on YouTube on the video, but also on the blog post. So thanks so much, Carly. And thank you everybody else for joining me on the panel. And thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time on GenFriends. Bye, everybody.
Bye.